I literally just woke up. It is Mother's Day today. Welcome if you are new to me or new to my channel. Welcome to my channel. Um, I didn't even wait until I got all together. I didn't even wait. My voice is a little deep. I was already not feeling. I've already been sick for probably like over 2 weeks. First it was a virus, and now it's just allergies. But we're gonna work through it. Get past that, and let's listen to the message. So hello family, thank you for joining my channel. My name is Amber Nicole, and in honor of Mother's Day today, I actually want to share some things about myself that I've never shared before. It's a time things that I've gone through in my life that I've never talked about. You know, the only people that really knew about this part of me is just the people that's been close to me. And so the reason why I probably look rough and I just came right out here because I knew that if I waited, God clearly put this on my spirit to speak about it right now. Excuse me. But I knew if I waited any longer, I probably would not have said what I'm about to say and talk about some of the things that I've talked about. But because I'm just doing it in the moment, the Holy Spirit is like, speak, say something, talk now. It's time to speak about this. It's time to say some things about this. So I'm going to speak. I'm going to talk about it right now. So I really want to talk a little bit about my journey, and I really hope this helps. It just helps somebody along the way. I don't have no real script. You know what I mean? I really just want to just share my story, and in hopes that my story can help you, and know that when you look at me, don't look at me as someone who's never been through anything, because I've been through so much throughout my life, which is why I'm so humbled today. All right, well, let's get started. Number one, my journey as a mother, my motherhood journey began, I would say, at 10 years old. I would say it began when I was like 9 or 10 years old. And the reason why I would say that is because when I was little, my mom was addicted to gambling. She had a gambling addiction, and anyone who knows about addiction, whatever it is, whether it's gambling, drugs, or whatever it is, we know that that addiction overtakes your life, and it's really rough. To overcome it's more, it makes people real selfish, right? You're not thinking about nobody else but me and what I'm going through and what I have to deal with and my struggles and things like that. Let me see if I can move over here and get some better lighting. And I'm holding my phone because I'm sitting at my sister's house. So anyway, okay, here we go. So and my little brother, who's 2 years under me, was pretty much my child. So I would say my motherhood journey began at 10 years old with my youngest brother, at 10 years old, and he was 8 at the time. And it really began with me making sure that I woke him up in the morning. And let me just say this, a lot of times we know in the Black community, we know how it is to take care of your siblings. This is what we were taught, to make sure you take care of your brothers and sisters. You know, at least in the community I grew up in, you know, take care of your brothers and sisters, make sure they're good. And I'm not saying that we weren't supposed to do that. I'm saying there was a level of where you were the parent, and there was a level where you were just doing your job as an older brother, older sister, right? And so anyway, so I took care of him. Some of the things I did, you know, is making sure we got up for school in the morning, making sure that we were on time, making sure he brushed his teeth, make sure he showered. When we got out of school, make sure he ate dinner. My mom had food for us, but I had to make sure that he ate. So the things that you do, you know, kind of as a babysitter, I guess. But I was 10 years old, and I did that for many years. Basically just took care of him as a young child. Yes. And then this is really tough for me to talk about, by the way. So, but I'm doing it. I'm speaking about it. I'm getting my story out there. I'm sharing, and know that I'm over this stage. It's still hard. I'm over, meaning I've forgiven my mom and all of that. It's just difficult for me to actually be vulnerable and share. There's things I've shared with you guys. If you look on my page, there's things I've shared with you, parts of my life I've shared with you, but this is one that I just have yet to share, and now I'm sharing it for the first time, because what I know is that it's not about me. What I do isn't about me. My confidence coaching and me coaching is nothing to do with me. It's everything to do with what I've gone through, what I've healed from, and now how I can help others get through that same thing, and know that they aren't perfect and life isn't perfect, but you can get to the other side of that. God can help you to the other side of that. All right, I hope you guys can hear me. Can you hear me good? I hope you can hear me. Anyway, so my journey began then, and then after that, I had my first daughter. If anybody listened to my story, before I had my first daughter at 12 years old, I was pregnant at 11. I had my first child. I had her at 12 years old, and if you know me, then you know, or you listen to anything I talked about, then you know that situation happened out of being molested as a young child. At 10 to 11 years old and pregnant at 11. I had my first child at 12, sixth grade, by the way. And so there I was. Oh, yes. And then not only that, my mom was actually pregnant with my little sister at that same time. So she was 6 months pregnant when she found out when we. No, no, no. She had my little sister and I was pregnant, but they're 6 months apart. So my daughter, my oldest child, and my sister are 6 months apart. Exactly 6 months apart. November 30th. My sister was born the following year. My daughter was born May 30th. So literally exactly 6 months apart. And so that journey right there, and mind you, I said earlier in the messaging that my mom at the time had a gambling addiction. And so I was put in a position, do I want to raise this child when I'm, number one, already taking care of the one child, my little brother, then my mom had my little sister, and now here I am with my daughter, and I'm like, do I want to try to parent and be a parent to my own child, my sister, and my brother, all at 12 years old? I know when I think about that right now, I'm like, woof. I could not imagine a 12-year-old today trying to parent three kids. Like, especially how they are today. They're a lot more immature than I was at 12 years old. I personally feel that way. You may feel different opinions. Anyway, so yes, so I had my child. I ended up having her. I ended up keeping her for a couple months. No, no, no. I did. I ended up having her, and then I kept her for a couple months, but ultimately I decided that this is not something I wanted to do. At 12 years old, trying to take care of my mom. I mean, at 12 years old, being a mother, number one, you can't work at 12 years old. You can't have a job. Ain't no what job want a sixth grader, right? So I had no means of being able to. I mean, I guess I could babysit other people's kids, but I got my own child, and now I'm about to babysit somebody else's kids. And I was taking care of my brothers and sisters, right? Anyway, so I had decided ultimately that the best thing for my daughter was to go to do an open adoption, because with the open adoption, if anyone who is aware of the open adoption, with an open adoption, it means that you have all legal rights terminated. She is not my child anymore. However, I get to still be a part of her life, and whatever that looks like for her adopted family. However you need me to can allow me to see her, but I'm able to see her. And so throughout her entire life, I've been able to be a part of it. Be a part of her life. There's some spaces where we weren't around each other, but for the most part, I've been a part of her life. And so I think that was the best decision ever. So anyone who is struggling right now, this is off topic, but I feel the Holy Spirit saying, anyone who's struggling right now, who's saying, should I give my child up for adoption? Should I keep her? I would say to you that make the decision that has nothing to do with you and how you feel, and everything to do with what you think is best for that child. So if whatever is best for your daughter, son, whoever, can you possibly take care of that child to the best of the ability that she needs to be taken care of, or he needs to be taken care of? If you cannot, I would advise that if you are thinking about that, don't feel guilty about it. I did it. I was young, and I don't know, how old you are at this time, but just know that I did it, and I gave her to a family that took care of her in a way that I could never have. And right now, I would still say today that I do not regret my decision, because I did it unselfishly. Selfishly, I would have kept her and said, what person gives away their child, whether it came out of a sexual trauma or not? But that honestly, ultimately, was not the reason why I did it. I didn't even consider the fact who her father was. At 12 years old, listen, I did this at 12. I was literally only considering the fact that, can I do this? Can I physically take care of this child? Can I mentally and emotionally and spiritually make sure that she will be good? And I knew I couldn't. And it would be very selfish of me to keep her and then still trying to take care of her, my brother, and my little sister, who are 6 months apart. So it's going to be damn near would have been like taking care of twins. I'm not saying my mom was never around at that time. I'm just saying when you're addicted, you do have moments. She's had times where she wasn't. And this is not me talking about my mother. This is all me sharing my journey, my experience, what I dealt with. My mother's passed away, actually, so she's been dead 2 years now. So definitely I'm not throwing dirt on my mom's name in any way, shape, or form. I'm simply just sharing my story and my testimony. Yeah, so I gave her up for adoption. That was my first physical child that I had out of my body. And then I went through life and, went through regular school, middle school, all these other things. And I had my second child at 17. Yes, I had him at 17, but then I turned 18 a couple months later. So I had him at 17 years old. I was a junior in high school. Lord, I know how old I was. I think I was a junior or senior. Anyway, a junior or senior in high school. I think I was a junior. Anyway, that doesn't matter. The grade doesn't matter. I was 17 years old when I had my second son. I did not give him up for adoption. I kept him. I took care of him. I did the best I could for a 17-year-old parent. Raising a 17-year-old parent who didn't really have the guidance on how to parent, I guess, because I was never really parented, I guess I would say. I kind of just learned parenting, just to me, was just being a good person, being a good human being, being nice, trying to do the best I can, setting boundaries, but just not knowing. So I did the best I can with making sure I took care of him, and I did that. I did what I was supposed to do. I took care of him, but I will say probably when I was 20, going on 21, I got into a relationship. And again, if you've heard me before, I've talked about this. I was in a domestic violence relationship for 10 years, almost 11, from 20 to 30, close to 31. And that relationship was the most toxic. It was horrible. But my son at the time witnessed, some of the things that I went through in that relationship. And in that relationship, I will say, is during that time frame when I was in that relationship, my son's father went to court. He actually went twice. The first time they was like, nah, you're not getting them. You guys can share custody. The second time we went to court, which at this time I still don't know why he went, because he said it had absolutely nothing to do with the man I was in a relationship at the time. So I don't know. It is what it is. Anyway, so I went to custody court with my son. I went to custody court with my second son, and the second time, because we went twice, the second time, and he won full custody, I believe. Yes, he won full custody, and I got visitation rights and things like that. Devastated me. Completely devastated me, because in my mind I'm like, there's no way he could take my child. I'm not abusive to the kid. He gets fed, he gets clothed. There's some mistakes that I've made along the way, but for the most part I'm a good mom. And during that time I was like, he's not even around. He didn't even live in the same state. He wasn't, this is not me bashing him either. This is just my reasoning. He didn't live, or he was not there physically taking care of our son the way I was. That's what I would say. He was not there. He wasn't around. He wasn't doing the day-to-day. He wasn't showing up every weekend like he was supposed to. So I'm like, you're not even visiting the kid like you're supposed to. You just want him because it's easy. So in my mind, I'm thinking there's no possible way that he will be able to get custody over this kid. And I was wrong. I was wrong. I was 20 something at that time, but yeah, he got custody over him. Mind you, let me fast forward. Let me backtrack a little bit, because I'm getting ahead of my time. I'm getting ahead a little bit. I had another child at that time, my youngest baby boy. I had at that time with the man I was in a relationship with, the domestic violence relationship. I had him at 23, and so Yeah, I had him at 23 years old. So, and then shortly after, a couple years later, my older son ended up getting taken away from me. My middle son ended up getting taken away from me. But I had him at 23, so I had two kids. I was doing the best I could. But again, I'm doing the best that I can from a person or a woman who had not been parented, and trying to be the best parent I can with no teaching, with very little guidance, just trying to just a good person. I was thinking, as long as I'm a good person, I can do this. As long as I treat my kids right, I can do this. Again, I didn't do everything right. I wasn't perfect. I made mistakes. I did things. There was things I did along that time that obviously, like I said, when I lost custody over my son, or the judge was like, she's not fit to be a parent to this kid, or whatever the case may be. And so I lost custody, and it rocked me. It rocked everything in me. But let me tell you the one thing that it did for me. I was probably bitter maybe the first year, because I didn't get it. I didn't get it. It made no sense to me at the time. Like, I can't believe he got custody over my child. This man has not been around. He was not a bad father. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying physically he was very selfish with his time. He wasn't around. He just wasn't there. The child support he was giving me was so limited to nothing. I'm like, how can he possibly win my child when he's not doing nothing really for this kid? His family is, but he's not. But it ain't the family's court session, it's his. Whatever. The judge thought otherwise. So I was really bitter at that time because of that moment. After the first year, I just said, if this is God's will for my life, if this is God's will, I can't keep being bitter about it. I can't keep being frustrated about it. I can't keep being angry about it, because I can't change it. It's here. All I can do is later on try to fight it. Later on try to, get him back. But in the meantime, I can't let this steal the joy out of my life. I gotta keep whatever little bit of positivity, little bit of joy that I do have at this time. Especially, like I said, I'm in a domestic violence relationship, so I can't. The compilation of dealing with the loss of my son, being in this domestic violence relationship, having another child, the compilation of that was way too much, that I just told myself that I can't keep focusing on this. And so I kind of just let it go, move on, and did whatever I needed to do at the time. Worked full time and became a full time student, and just worked endlessly as a started as a CNA, then I became a medical assistant, then I became a paralegal. So just endlessly, just working, and doing the best I can to take care of my child. Um, the paralegal came on the end. And so for the most part, at the beginning of that time frame, when I had lost my son, I was broke. BROKE. I had nothing. I was working basically to pay bills. That's pretty much what I was doing. So having to travel to get my son, and it was such a rough time for me at that time. But it was hard. It was really, really hard. And so I don't want to go into all the rest of that. As you can see, my struggles as a parent has not been easy. My struggles in my motherhood has not been easy. But I will say, though, what the devil meant for good, what the devil meant for bad, God always means for good. What the devil thought he was doing to strike you down, to get you, God always has a way of turning around. What the devil especially when the devil tried to get you early. When I told you I had started taking care of my little brother at 10. I had my first daughter at 11. When the devil is, especially when he's trying to get you early, you must know that he is trying to end something in your life, because there is something greater coming on the other side of that. So that's what I finally had to realize over time. Over time, that what the devil meant for evil, God meant for good, because now my son is 20 years old and we have a great relationship. He calls me, we text each other, we talk about random things. I try to help him become not just a job mindset 9 to 5, trying to get him to get to entrepreneurship. And so we talk about business. So now me and my son have the greatest relationship. But when he was younger, it was very hard during that time. His dad made it very difficult for me to parent him. But once he got older, he realized that he wanted his mom. And so me and my son have such an awesome relationship. right now. Me and both my sons have such an awesome relationship right now. Me and my daughter, it's up and down right now. We don't have much of a relationship, but I pray that the Lord does what needs to be done in that relationship, and that we figure out what we need to do and get to the other side of the pain. But right now with me and my sons, we're good. We're great. I love it. I love them to death. I love my daughter to death as well. But I'm sharing this, and I'm sharing my journey, and I'm sharing my testimony because I'm hoping that someone who had a hard time in their relationship, in their relationship with their kids, someone who maybe has a hard time, who's blaming their mom for certain things of what they went through, realize that we are human. We are human. That of course the domestic violence affected me and my brain and what I was thinking at that time and how I was parenting. Of course, me being molested and never getting therapy and just trying to just go and switch through life had an effect on me. I would not have been in a domestic violence relationship if I believed in myself, if I had the confidence, if I had someone pouring and teaching me and guiding me. I may have never been in that relationship, but at the end of the day, there is not one day in my 38 years of life that I regret right now. And I've been through hell. I've been neglected, disrespected, cheated on, lied to, lied about. I've my dirt thrown on my name. Everything underneath, a whole bunch of things that I've been through. I've been through. But at the end of the day, what I know is the God I serve is bigger than anything else. What I know is that everything I've ever went through has humbled me, and I didn't become bitter. I didn't become angry. I said, God, your will be done on earth through me, whatever that looks like. So however it's supposed to be, I refuse to let life make me bitter. I refuse to let the things that I've gone through make me bitter, make me angry, make me hate life, make me hate people. I don't hate nobody. I don't hate, no, there's not a soul on this earth. I don't care what you've done to me. I do not hate nobody. I refuse to have that poison in my heart. I am one of the most loving people you can meet. But guess what? Look at that. Excuse me, guys. I chose to be this way. I chose. I said, do I want to be angry and bitter about the things I've gone through in life? Or do I want to take the lesson out of that and teach other people that we are human on this human journey and growing to be the best version of ourselves, and we can do whatever we want with our lives, whatever we decide, but it starts by making a choice. And the choice I made is I will not sit and live in poverty the rest of my life. The choice I made is I will not sit and be mad at the men who did whatever to me. I will not be bitter and angry about my mother, God rest her soul. I will not be angry about the things that I've gone through in my life. At the end of the day, I take the lesson out of it, and God knew everything from the beginning to the end. So if he saw fit for me to go through it, then he knew I had the strength to get through it. And this is a lot of the reason why I became a confidence coach. After I went through therapy, after I went through coaching, after I still go through therapy, I still have coaches. I have multiple coaches, business coaches, spiritual coaches. I have multiple coaches because I just believe in just continuously being the best version of me. After I've gone through that, and I got certified as a mental health coach, I got certified as an abundant life coach through Rebecca Lynn Pope. After I've done that and I've gotten my coaching certification, because I knew that this is why I want to help people. Because if I can just help one woman get through it, if I can just help one woman look at me and say, as good as her life looks, as good as she looks, how could she have gone through what she's gone through, and how did she get through it, right? So don't look at me and think, wow, I wish my life was like hers. I'm gonna tell you, baby, because it ain't perfect, and it ain't, life ain't perfect. I just choose on how I want to deal with it. I choose on how I want to get through it. And the way I choose is by keeping people in my life who love me, who respect me, who treat me right, having friends and people in my life who know how to pour into me the same way I pour into them. And if they don't, I let them go and I move on. I learn to love and let go and release when needed to, because obviously God wanted them to be somewhere else. At some point in time, I held on to things, and holding on to people only hurt me. And now I've learned to let go. Now I've learned to just flow freely through life. Now I've learned to have an attitude of gratitude and just be grateful about the things I've gone through. I've learned how to humble myself. I've learned how to sit with the Lord and be silent and let him use me in a way that he may not have been able to use me had I not done the coaching and the therapy that I've gone through. Maybe I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't get molested, and if I didn't raise my little brother, or if I didn't go through the domestic violence, if I didn't lose custody custody over my son, if I didn't get cheated on and lied through, and the men that I was in a relationship with, maybe I wouldn't be who I am today. So I say I had to go through all of that so I can help you. I had to go through all of that so that I can learn the lesson and teach that lesson and let people know that you can get through the other side of hell. You can get through the other side of whatever it is you're going through. You can forgive your mother for whatever it is that you're dealing with. You can forgive your father for whatever it is. You can forget the man that you had children with that maybe now was there, but now he wants to be there. You can do it, but it takes intentionality. It takes changing you and how you see life. Maybe they'll never be the bigger person. Maybe you always might be the bigger person, but at the end of the day, know that being the bigger person can be frustrating at times, because I know I've always been the bigger person, and there's been times I'm like, I just want to be petty. Can I be petty, please? Can I be petty Betty? Because I don't want to be the other bigger person. Anyways, I know that you can get through it. I know that you can heal. I know that your heart can heal from this. And I hope that my story and my testimony and me sharing my motherhood journey and the things I've gone through can help you get through it, can help you see the light on the other side. And if you are still struggling, if you can reach out to me, email me at info@helloambernicole. And just let me know. Or hey, maybe if you don't need coaching, but this helped you, or you can send it to somebody, or if you can share a little bit of your journey to me, send me an email. I love when my fans send me emails. Send me an email. Info at helloambernicole. Send me an email. Share your journey with me. Share your testimony with me. I would love to hear it. I would love to read it. I'll be grateful to be able to do that. But I hope this helped you. I hope it helped you get through it. This was hard for me. It may not look like it, but sometimes I laugh through things or look away. This was hard for me, but I hope that me being vulnerable today can help you love life a little bit more, can help you forgive those who hurt you a little bit more, and help you see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, because I'm there. I see the light. I'm there. I see the joy. I'm there. And you can get here too, with intentional work, with loving yourself first, and then going through everything else you need to. All right, well, you guys enjoy the rest of this Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the queens out there. Everyone, you just enjoy it. All right, you guys.